Hey, I'm back today to talk a little bit more in depth on the same subject about going flat after mastectomy and how it's affected my personal life. Last week I did kind of an overview video talking about how it affected my social life and my extended family relationships and work, and I realized after I published that video that I really didn't talk much about my internal family, my immediate family life, and how it affected me in that department, and that's a story worth telling for sure. I've told a little bit of this story before, but I think there's more to tell. So I like to keep it real here and on other social media outlets just to keep, social media safe and honest and set that example for other women, younger women. Oh, also I'm wearing my new handful bra. This is my favorite design that they do, and I have 4 other colors in it. I have pink, which is in the laundry, but also comes in this mocha, black, and kind of a rusty red color. My last mastectomy was about 4 months ago now, just almost 4 months ago now. But my first mastectomy, I had been diagnosed, and I was in denial for a long time after my diagnosis about whether I really needed surgery because I just had DCIS at first. And then after I had my mastectomy, I found out I did have invasive lobular carcinoma inside there hiding that we hadn't seen in any of the screening modalities. And my husband and I had talked about my decision to have a mastectomy as opposed to a lumpectomy. And I'm so glad I had a mastectomy because of the lobular that was hiding in there. I needed to have a mastectomy in the end. But I really struggled with that decision, and I really wanted my husband's input, and he wouldn't give it to me. And I think partly that was because he didn't have a strong opinion, but also he knew that I'm a bit of a people pleaser, and he didn't want me to be affected by his desires or opinions on the subject. So he really kept it to himself, and he was very much at peace with that, and I became at peace with that too. I really think that any attachment to my breasts that I had before was really having to do with him and for his benefit. It wasn't really for my own benefit so much. I was much, much more concerned about his ability to enjoy my breasts in the future, my one breast in that case, because I did get a mastectomy. But in the end, right after my mastectomy, when we found out there was invasive lobular in there, I immediately wanted a second mastectomy, very suddenly, and I hadn't expected that. And he also immediately wanted that too. So we were super aligned on the same page, wanting the same thing. And he did share with me that he was feeling that desire because it was a really strong desire on his part. So I'm really grateful that we were totally aligned all the way along. But I also had my mom's lumpectomy to consider because my mom had a story too. And my mom and dad are near 90. My mom's 90 and my dad's 87. And my dad had already had dementia when my mom was diagnosed and had her lumpectomy. But he stopped being as affectionate with her. And that was really a little bit hard for her, I think. And I was expecting that might happen with me, especially if I had a double mastectomy. There wouldn't be anything left to be affectionate with in that department. And so I was really pretty fearful about that. But I was allowed to become convinced and very, very eager to get my second mastectomy because I had to wait 9 months for various reasons. And I think my only reason for hanging on to my single breast was for that sake. And that ended up not being an issue really at all. My husband is still very affectionate with me. Our sex life is very unchanged from before the 2 mastectomies as well as my last one. So nothing has really changed for us that much. But the fear was there, and I think fears drive our decisions and motivations more than anything, even if they're not warranted. So I just wanted to mention that. The other thing that was awkward for my body was, in terms of my home life, was that my 20-year-old stepson was living with us for the whole last few years while I've been going through all of this. And he's a nonverbal young adult, and he does talk, but he doesn't talk very much, and he doesn't tend to get close to people or share with people, and so I have never established a bond with him socially, and so it was super awkward for me to walk around the house with one breast for 9 months in between my first and my second mastectomies. And yet I think it was also really good for me because it allowed me to fight some of the doubts and automatic insecurities that rise when you are feeling that body negativity within yourself. I think my body negativity was coming from my assumptions about him as a young man, feeling super uncomfortable with me and the body shape that I was presenting to the world, or at least to my household at that time. And I think just working through that for myself and talking to myself about that negativity helped me to fight through it and helps me to be a better leader in terms of body positivity now. And I'm so glad for that. As awkward as it was, it never stopped being awkward. I would pretty much all the time not be wearing a bra or a prosthetic because it wasn't very comfortable to do so at home. And I really had to sort through, like, should I be wearing a prosthetic even at home? No, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. And should I be covering up? Should I be hiding my body shape? No, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. It wouldn't be a good example to set for him. This is the reality. I had cancer. I lost a body part. I'm dealing with that. I'm not flaunting it, being disrespectful of him in any way, but definitely not hiding it. And so that helped me not to hide it when it came to being in more in public and in breast cancer settings, where I can be more of an advocate or an activist around body positivity and being flat. So it all worked for good, but there was awkwardness for sure. And a tiny bit maybe of awkwardness with my husband, but mostly around sensitivity and pain, like getting over some of the tactile sensitivity after surgery, and just his needing to be really sensitive and careful about not hurting me, I guess, is the main thing. I would say that my struggles with libido and other, vaginal dryness, the kinds of issues that women have at my age, have been there all along before my diagnosis, before my first mastectomy, and before my second mastectomy, and after. And so there is no real change in the struggles that I go through month to month, week to week. There's definitely a time of the month where I'm more comfortable being intimate, and the rest of the month I have to make efforts and take precautions and work on just my body and the dryness issue especially. I have a couple of products that I wanted to share on that note, not that that's what this video is about, but just because these products have been really important for me in terms of just coming to grips with what it is like to be premenopausal and going into menopause and losing a lot of that, just the flexibility of having a young vaginal area. And the reality is you just have to moisturize a ton once you get into your later 40s and early 50s and from then on. And you may even need some vaginal estrogen, which has become clear now in all of the research that it is totally safe for breast cancer survivors. So I may even do that in the future, but I haven't gone that far yet. I haven't hit menopause yet, or even started transitioning fully into menopause. But this is a product by Living Libations. It's a Canadian company. It's called Radiant Love Butter. And it's not just for the times when you're going to be having intercourse, but I use it after showers just to moisturize in my vaginal area. And it's kind of like the consistency of body butter. I'll put a link down below so that you can order it if you'd like to. It's kind of a thick consistency. It's not like lotion. It's more like chapstick or body butter kind of consistency, kind of like a butter. And it melts pretty quickly and it smells really good, kind of lemony. And it's got, of course, some herbal elements, some essential oils in it that is especially good for vaginal dryness and vaginal health. And then the other product I use is is at the time of intercourse, and this is called the Petal Soother Yoni Serum. Fun name. And I got the one that has the peppermint in it, and it makes it more green in color. And this is what it looks like. And it is really good for low libido because the peppermint is tingly and it allows you to feel a little bit more sensation and to get into the mood if you need that little pick-me-up. It is more of an oil, so it is definitely liquid, and so you want to be careful applying it, that you don't spill it on your sheets or your clothes or anything like that, because it can definitely stain. So just kind of got to be careful with the little dropper. It comes with a pipette dropper, just a glass pipette. So those are the two products that I used before and now after my mastectomies. I would say that my mastectomies forced me to really think about my sex life and the health of my sex life, and to be more proactive. And so I use these more now than I did before. I knew about them and I ordered them before, but I'm motivated to really make this part of my life healthy because of the mastectomies and that tiny bit of insecurity that comes along with that. I really feel like I've worked through it and I've gotten past that insecurity, but that insecurity was a gift because it built in the practice of using these two things, which has been a really good thing for my sex life. Much better than without them. So I guess the only other thing that I would say is there's a sexiness factor, I guess, that is present for some women and not for others. And I think my sexiness my need to feel sexy, is pretty low. I'm more on the nerd end of the continuum, I guess, when it comes to sexiness. And so I'm really learning about that for the first time, again, because of that slight insecurity that comes with having 2 mastectomies to flat, and feeling a little different and feeling a little less feminine. I need to learn that, and I think being in community with other flatties has been the biggest thing to help me through that, and to learn to express my body more, be more comfortable in my body, celebrate my body, take pictures. I have taken so many more pictures of my body since both of my mastectomies than I ever did before. All of my pictures were very much clothed before that, except for one boudoir session that I did just for my husband when we were first engaged. But now I'm doing them for me, and so that's pretty different. And even though I have a very low need to feel sexy, everyone has a need, and everyone has that option to explore that part of your personality. It has nothing to do with other people or men or, sexual partners. It doesn't have to do with anyone but you. And I'm really learning about just body positivity and body power and body empowerment. And the fact that I have a scarred body makes me much more willing to share my body with others and tell my story, because there's a reason to now where there wasn't when my body was more whole. I also feel like this idea of wholeness is worth discussing, because I think I am whole. Even though I'm broken, I am whole. And that's something I would have never understood prior to mastectomies and prior to being in this community of other flatties. I can't explain it. It's a paradox. It's a contradiction in terms, but there is a wholeness that comes through the healing process that really is sufficient. And that's really the message I want to get through more than anything. That's why I go out and show my body at the breast cancer events and walks. I want to communicate to other women that there is freedom and there is wholeness if you can get past your body shame and your body insecurities. So I just want people to know that that's possible. And certainly if it's possible for me, who is on the more nerdy end of the spectrum when it comes to just sexual expression or sexual needs, or needs to feel like I look sexy, and then it's got to be true of all of us, I would say. So tell me what you think about that. But that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, I think I expected my sex life to suffer because of these surgeries and going flat, and it hasn't. And I'm just so grateful that I went flat, because I think I would be much more likely to have pain and discomfort and ongoing struggles with my body if I had had implants. That's just how I feel about it based on what I've heard from other people. I could be wrong about that, but I'm very, very happy that I went flat, even when we're talking about the subject of sexuality and intimacy with my husband. So, and I've, tried to kind of ask him about that and get his opinion so that I could report on that, and he just doesn't seem to feel comfortable commenting on that. So my sense is, from all of his actions and body language, that he feels very fine about my body as it is too. And I think that he does define me as a one-breasted woman still, because I do have a little tiny bit of a mound on my Goldilocks side. So while I am still technically a flatty, I do feel like I have a little bit of a breast, and I think that he does appreciate that little bit of anatomy that was able to stay on during my second mastectomy. So I'm also grateful that I have a Goldilocks, even though I'm asymmetrical. So I think that covers it for my, my private home life and adjusting to these changes. It's definitely an adjustment, but it's much less of one than I expected it to be. And there's way more gratitude than there is struggle or doubt or fear or insecurity at this stage. And I'm only a year post first mastectomy and 4 months post second mastectomy, so I would have never guessed that that would be the case by now. And if you're heading into a mastectomy, I hope that that's the case for you too. I'm sure it will be. Definitely reach out to me either here or on Instagram. I'm at a breast cancer diary with dots in between the words on Instagram, and you can reach me pretty easily there. Or you can comment below if you'd like. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.